2027 is the year of election, just a few months away. And of course, it is already happening today. Some people have already declared 2027 presidential victory, not by INEC, not by voters, but by power. Across political cycles, growing narrative is taking hold that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has already secured victory, even before a single vote is cast. Defections are rising. Several governors, perhaps more governors than we have ever had in Nigeria's history, are with the president. And for the first time in Nigeria's history, one party has two-thirds majority of members of the National Assembly, both chambers, that is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Opposition parties are fragmenting. Many of them are in courts. Some of them have intractable problems that may not be resolved before the date for primaries, as fixed by the Independent National Electoral Commission, comes to an end. The ruling party appears to be firmly in control, but history warns us of something. Power can look strongest just before it breaks. Tonight, on the other side, we'll ask a critical question. Has President Tinubu already won 2027? Or are we witnessing the illusion that precedes political upset? My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. This is The Other Side. In politics, perception is not just important, it is strategic. When elites begin to say the election is already decided, they are not merely describing reality, they are trying to shape it. Of course, political history has shown that people usually do not want to vote for the party or the individual or groups that will not win election. As the saying goes, everybody wants to be with the group or the political party or the individual that is said to be winning. The idea of inevitability performs three functions. First, it discourages opposition. Why fight a battle that is already lost? Secondly, it attracts defections. Politicians move towards power, not towards uncertainty. Third, it frames public psychology. Voters often align with what appears to be on the winning side. But this is where perception becomes dangerous, because history shows that the louder the claim of inevitability, the greater the risk of miscalculation. There is no doubt President Bola Ahmed Tinubu enters this cycle with formidable advantages. First is political consolidation. The All Progressive Congress not merely holding power, it is absorbing it. Governors, lawmakers, and local structures are shifting towards the ruling party. Second is incumbency power. Control of federal resources, appointments, and visibility gives any sitting president a structural edge. Third, opposition fragmentation. The PDP remains internally divided. The Labour Party lacks nationwide structure. Other parties are struggling to form a united front, and they are being checked in the law courts. Several court cases against the ADC. And in Nigerian politics, fragmentation is often more decisive than popularity. Of course, it was the fragmentation of the PDP in 2013, 2014, and 2015 that led to its defeat in the 2015 general election. Fourth is the economic narrative window. After painful reforms, fuel subsidy removal, currency adjustments, there are early signs, however fragile, of macroeconomic stabilization. This creates a potential campaign message. We endured the pain, now the recovery begins. And finally, there is elite alignment. In Nigerian elections, elite consensus, especially across the North and South, often determines the final outcomes more than grassroots enthusiasm alone. On paper, this is a powerful position, but power on paper is not always power at the ballot. Because beneath this strength and show of power, there is serious vulnerability. The first is economic pain. Inflation may be moderating at the macro level, but for ordinary Nigerians, the cost of living remains severe. Fuel prices surged again. Food prices remain unstable. Farmers are crying that they cannot sell their crops and may not go back to farm. Household pressure is rising, and elections are not won on economic theory. They are won on lived experience, and the experience of Nigerians is anything but heartwarming. Second is security perception. From insurgency in the Northeast to banditry in the Northwest and violent clashes in the Middle Belt, as well as forays by violent non-state actors into the South, including the Southwest and the South-South, remain issues that this government has to contend with. The central questions remain. Do Nigerians feel safer today? Because if the answer is no, no amount of political control can fully compensate. Third, there is the legitimacy question and tension. The 2023 elections may be legally settled, but politically it remains contested in the minds of many voters. Of course, it is very clear that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu so far has been the person that won the elections with the least amount of support in Nigeria's election. Just 37% of the 27% of Nigerians who voted him into power. We've never had such low number of voters turning out to vote. And legitimacy is not just about law, it is about belief. What is youth volatility? Digitally connected generation capable of mobilizing rapidly, often outside traditional political structures. This is an unpredictable terrain, and unpredictability is the enemy of incumbency. Power and consolidation of power often backfire. There are great global examples. History offers a warning. Leaders who appeared politically unbeatable have fallen, and suddenly. In Nigeria in 2015, Goodluck Jonathan lost his election after opposition forces united against him. In Sri Lanka, Mahinda called for an early election, confident of victory. He lost. In South Africa, Jacob Zuma built a powerful patronage system. It collapsed from within his party. In Algeria, Abdulaziz tried to extend his rule. Mass protests forced him out. The lesson is very clear. Power can be accumulated, but it can also trigger resistance. Power can be accumulated, but it can also trigger resistance, especially when it appears excessive, unfair, or disconnected from public suffering. And now to the critical question. What if the very strategies strengthening Tinubu today become his greatest weaknesses tomorrow? Consider the defections. They signal strength, but can breed internal conflict. Too many interests inside one party can create instability. Consider institutional dominance. It may deliver short-term advantage, but risks long-term legitimacy erosion. Consider rapid economic reform, necessary, but politically dangerous if not matched with visible relief. And when leaders begin to believe victory is guaranteed, they often stop seeing the threats as they are forming. And of course, the signs for this are already very clear. The president, by consolidating power and by the perception that he is influencing the electoral umpire and the judiciary, has succeeded in motivating the opposition to come together. People who were previously not ready to sit down together and talk are now sitting together and talking and thinking about what to do. He has also motivated external opposition against himself. The opinion about the president outside Nigeria are not flattering at all. And he has succeeded by the very act of consolidating power, motivated the civil society against himself. Suddenly we are having protests. Suddenly we are having people come out to speak and demand that he should remove the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission that he appointed. Suddenly we are having protests on the street, not very big, but appear to be growing. And so, has Tinubu already won? No, but he is ahead because his major opponent is not yet known. And in politics, being ahead is not the same as being safe, because elections are not decided at the peak of power. They are decided at the moment when power meets resistance. If the oppositions remain divided, Tinubu likely wins. If the opposition unites, the race changes. If economic pain deepens, the narrative shifts. If security deteriorates, confidence erodes. And if history repeats itself, then what looks like certainty today may become a surprise tomorrow. And finally, history shows this again and again. Power can be consolidated, but it can also collapse suddenly. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can be defeated and could be defeated. Those who are already singing songs of victory need to think twice that consolidation of power, bringing everybody under your roof, does not guarantee that you have won the election. My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. If you are enjoying our content, please click on that subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. Or you can support us by joining to become a member. And don't forget that if you want to see the videos in time, click on that notify button so that whenever a new video is released, you'll be notified immediately.